Christ himself will descend from heaven. Now, the last time I checked, descending means coming down. So he is up there in heaven, as we know, and he will leave and descend from heaven. Step number 2, he comes to receive us unto himself, as John 14:13. Receive us. So he's coming down in this position. Take a look at me. Hands to receive. That's how he comes. He's not coming riding on a horse. He's not coming with a sword in his hand. He's not coming to consume. He's not coming to destroy. He's coming to receive us unto himself. You see, that's why you cannot mix it with the second coming of Jesus, riding a horse, ready to destroy all of his enemies. He is coming, and he's coming down, and he's coming to receive us unto himself. And number 3, he comes in the twinkling of an eye with the shout of the trumpet call of God. 1 Corinthians 15:52 and 1 Thessalonians 4:16. Twinkling of an eye. It's going to be rapid, it's going to be amazing, it's going to be sudden, it's going to be swift, it's going to be quick, it's going to be amazing, but they will hardly notice that we're gone. Because there's no process here. It's twinkling of an eye. Bang, we're out of here. So he will come down, and he will come down to the clouds, and we will be snatched from earth and meet him in the cloud.
On exactly the 10th day of the 7th month is the Day of Atonement. 10 days from the Feast of Trumpets that happens on the first day of the 7th month on God's sacred calendar called the month of Tishrei, 10 days into the month lands on Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. Yom is the Hebrew word for day. Kippur is the day of covering. It's Yom Kippur, the day of covering, the day that the Lord covers the sins of his people through a blood atonement. Now, during the days that the Hebrew scriptures were written, before Jesus came, every year the high priest would go into the Holy of Holies, the most sacred space in the earth that first existed in the tabernacle and then later was in the temple. Once the tabernacle entered the promised land, the tabernacle was built into a permanent structure called the temple. And in the very back of the temple or the tabernacle was a sacred space called the Holy of Holies. Inside the sacred space was an object called the Ark of the Covenant. It was laid over with gold. And inside the Ark of the Covenant were the 10 Commandments, the tablets that the Lord wrote on with his finger that contained the words that shaped Western culture and the world's morality. And on Yom Kippur, the high priest would bring in the blood of a bull and a goat. He would then take that blood and pour it on top of the Ark of the Covenant where the 10 Commandments were housed. And then when the Lord saw the blood on top of the Ark of the Covenant, which the New Testament refers to in the book of Hebrews as the mercy seat, in other words, the top of the Ark of the Covenant where the blood was poured was called the mercy seat. When the Lord saw the blood poured out, he overlooked the sins of Israel for the year. That was simply this ritual that took place year after year on Yom Kippur, where the high priest brought in the blood. That was simply a shadow of what would ultimately accomplish the salvation of God's people through the forgiveness of their sin through the blood of Yeshua HaMashiach. That's why at Passover, the last meal that Jesus celebrated with his disciples before going to the cross, Jesus took the Passover wine And he said to his disciples, "This is the blood of the covenant shed for you for the forgiveness of your sins." He was tying it back to Yom Kippur, and he was pointing to the fact that his blood would once and for all solve humanity's problem of sin.
Nothing's changed. It's a Jubilee year. That's why we're being raptured. Jubilee, never been fulfilled in the Bible. There's no record of the Jews celebrating a Jubilee. Do you get that? God told them every 50 years, this is what you're going to do. There's no record of them actually doing it. So this one-time rapture event, this one-time great Jubilee is going to be fulfilled at the rapture. So doesn't it make sense that the rapture wouldn't be just on a normal Feast of Trumpets, but it would be a big deal, the Jubilee, a Jubilee year